You spent weeks germinating these seeds, but now they're hitting a wall. They're looking a little pale, or maybe they just stopped growing. Today, we are going to go through the growth hack that takes seedlings from surviving to thriving. We're talking about the why, the when, and the how to fertilizing, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've been using lately to put on my seedlings to get the results that I want. So the question as a new gardener that I had whenever I was going to fertilize my plants was, one, when do I start fertilizing my plants? How do I fertilize my plants? How often do I do it? And at what strength should I be doing this? How much fertilizer should I be putting on these plants? Most of you out there have been using a seedling starting mix like this to start your seedlings, which is perfectly fine. This is excellent stuff to use to start your seedlings. It is a good solid mix. It's not going to cause you any problems. But this is a sterile mix. That mix right there does not contain any nutrients. Now that little seedling, that little seed that you put in the ground, now that seed is power packed with plenty of nutrients inside that little wrapper it has. It's got enough power to get that seedling to wiggle through the soil up and to put roots down. And it also has enough power to get those cotyledons leaves to show up. The cotyledon leaves are now the first two leaves that show up. They usually look nothing like what the plant is supposed to look like. The next set of leaves that show up are actually called the true leaves that show up. This is what we want to pay attention to. These true leaves typically look a lot like the plant. For example, take this celery plant that I got here. On the bottom, I got the two cotyledon leaves, and then up top are the true leaves. The true leaves look more like this actual celery plant itself. So once those true leaves appear, all that power pack nutrients that was in that seed package is pretty much going to be gone. The lunch pail is empty. Pretty much they've exhausted all those nutrients that they had for those seeds. This is the time when you need to start fertilizing. The first thing you got to know is you do not want to use too much fertilizer. These guys are still little babies. You got to treat them as such. You got to make sure that you're not overdoing the fertilizing. What I typically do is I usually use about a half a dosage of fertilizer on these things. So if you read the back of the label, it'll tell you what to put on a normal plant. Cut that in half. Heck, if you're worried about it, cut it to a quarter. Overdoing this is going to kill those plants. You want to be very, very careful about this. Now, I'm not doing this to scare you. I just know that you guys have all put a lot of hard work into these plants, and you don't want them to die on you. So go ahead and start with probably a half to a quarter of what the bottle says. Now, you want to be able to dilute this in some type of water. I typically go ahead and fill up a 5-gallon jug with my fertilizer and then dilute it with some water. The water then I just put and I typically water from underneath. So then I'll put that fertilizer in that water in that tray as I water underneath. So when we are doing this, we want to definitely make sure that we are using a half strength to a quarter strength of fertilizer. We also want to make sure we do this after the first two leaves have formed. Sometimes I wait a week or two after those first two leaves are formed just to give the plant a little bit of space and time. I'm more on the cautious side of things because I have burned my seedlings before. You can take my experience and grow with it. You don't have to, fail there. So what I would do is take it, wait a week or two after those first leaves have formed, and then go ahead and put some fertilizer in there as you're watering it. So that covers how much to put on, how to put it on, and then when to put it on for the first time. Now, how often should you be repeating this? What I would do is read the instructions that are on the bottle of the fertilizer. It'll tell you how much, how often you should be applying this. I have actually been using this stuff right here, this AgroThrive stuff. They were so kind that they sent me 2 bottles of fertilizer here. And I tell you what, this stuff has been fantastic for me. These guys sent me 2 different ones. I haven't tried this one yet. I just been trying the AgroThrive, the General Purpose liquid fertilizer. I figured maybe I'd use this one outside with my various things. So this actually tells me on the bottle what to do for new seedlings. So I pretty much have it listed as half strength for the new seedlings. And then it tells me to do it once every week. Typically, I've been doing this once every other week. I've been doing pretty much watering about twice a week with what I have back here has been working out pretty well for me, so I'm not overwatering or underwatering. So I've been doing it about twice a week, watering about twice a week. So I've got about 4 cycles. So I typically take it, I will fertilize with one watering, not fertilize with the other, and then not fertilize with the next one, and then fertilize again. And just kind of repeat that process over and over and over again. So basically, one watering with the fertilizer, 2 waterings without, and then again with the fertilizer. And that's about that for me. It works about every week and a half or so. And I tell you what, these guys have been thriving. It's in the name, AgroThrive, I guess. My plants have been thriving. I've seen excellent growth with these plants. So I would highly recommend this. There is one downside to this, I will tell you. And I don't know if it's really truly a downside, but it is an organic fertilizer. That is definitely not a downside. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But this stuff does have a little bit of a stench to it. It's not too bad. But if you got a grow room around some sensitive noses, you might kind of want to kind of put that in the back of your head, because there is a little bit of a stench down there. Now, my dog, she absolutely loves that smell, so we're okay here. Pretty much out there, you can categorize your fertilizers into 2 major groups. You have your organic fertilizers and you have your synthetic fertilizers. Synthetic fertilizers are going to be something that's going to go through a huge chemical process. They do work. They're pretty fast acting. However, I like to do things on the natural approach as much as I can. I wouldn't call myself a true organic gardener, but I try to do things as natural as I can, try to let things naturally flow. This right here and this right here are both organic based. They're using biological products things are found in nature. If you read the back of the bottle on this, it said this is corn steeped liquor and fermented fish byproducts, which that's probably where it gets its fantastic smell. Kind of smells like walking into a pet shop a little bit. I love doing that whenever I was a kid, so hey, that doesn't bother me that much at all. But these guys are a natural fish byproduct. Whenever I was in school, whenever the Pilgrims came over and the Indians showed the Pilgrims how to farm and all that stuff, way back whenever I was in school, they always told them to put fish in the ground. Well, this is essentially doing the same thing for your seedlings back here. So I would recommend a organic type of fertilizer. There are some downfalls to organic fertilizers, but overall, I think you're going to have a more beautiful, thriving, healthier plant that way. Some of the downfalls are essentially the stench, and it does maybe take a little bit longer for the results to appear. You're not getting a fast birth of growth like you would with a synthetic fertilizer. But then again, these plants weren't made to grow fast. These plants were made to grow at their own pace, and the organic fertilizers allow them to do that. So tell me down in the comments down below, how often are you watering your plants? How often are you watering with a fertilizer? Are you using any type of organic fertilizer? Are you using a synthetic fertilizer? Neither one is wrong. I just have a preference over one or the other. That's going to be a major argument, I know, for some people is got to use organics, always organics. I have this bottle of synthetics. I bought a bottle of synthetic fertilizers. I have used synthetics in the past. I mean, they are okay. I do use synthetic fertilizers on things that typically that I'm not going to be eating, like some of my house plants and different things like that. So that just gives you a good idea of how I do things around here. But let me know down in the comments. What are you guys using for fertilizers? How often are you fertilizing? How much fertilizer are you using? Are you using full strength? Help out those in the comments. This, I'm using about half strength with this per the label on there. Now, when the plants get bigger, I will be using full strength, and I probably will be doing it about once a week or so, putting a fertilizer in there. Let me know down in the comments. Join the Dirty Fingernail gang. Leave me something down in the comments. Let me know that you're interested in getting your hands dirty. Hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't done that already. And cheers, everybody. God bless.